Good Monday morning to you guys. I think we had a nice time at Middle School Spy last night. As you guys may have seen, hopefully you look at the topics, I guess, that I post on Facebook. Maybe nobody looks at them. We were talking about the question, is God real? And I think that it's a pretty basic question, and I think most people will consider these young students, these middle schoolers, to probably believe in God. Many of them, it seems, haven't made much of a decision yet as far as their faith goes. But recently, I brought up that question because I'm reading this. It looks like a book, but it's actually a study. It's by St. Mary's Press, and it's called Going, Gone, and it refers to the dynamics of disaffiliation in young Catholics. So basically, okay, we have all these Catholics leaving the faith. So many Catholics leave the faith. It's actually the second biggest denomination in the United States of America, that being former Catholics. So many of these students are leaving the faith. What's causing this? So it gets into some of the reasons the students leave the faith. But it also talks about when they leave the faith. I think that sometimes when we look at these people leaving the faith, it's our post-high school students. You know, it's our 20-year-olds. They're going out and experiencing the world and they're leaving the faith. But that seems to be actually only when they make their official decision. This book would say that they've actually made the decision long before that. And I think we actually see that with many of our middle schoolers. For those of you that have middle schoolers or early high schoolers, you know how, and later high schoolers. For any of you that have teenagers, you know how it can be. I mean, there's just kind of like an apathy that they get when it comes to things of church. And this book would tell us that many of our students are making their decisions about if God is real or if I'm going to be Catholic. They make these decisions around the age of 13 years old. So as I make these videos and talk about the things we've been discussing at Spy, I sometimes think that I'm like talking about things that are over these kids' heads or they haven't really experienced yet, but these books would tell us that our students are being approached with these heavy issues in their early teens, and they're making decisions about their faith in their early teens. I mean, I talk to these kids about how many of them are going to be posed with the decision to leave the faith within 7 years after confirmation. And gosh, it's the reality. These kids, we see them, they're only getting confirmed because their parents are making them. They only go to church because their parents are making them. They don't really pray. And we kind of got into some of that stuff last night. Like, do you believe in God? And some of these kids said they don't believe in God. And these are kids that come to youth group. They don't believe in God. Yeah. It's crazy, but you can kind of see how they're coming to these conclusions. They talk about, okay, I've never seen God. I've never experienced God. It seems like it's not real. He doesn't apply to my life. It doesn't make a difference if God's real or not. When I pray, I don't see a difference. I pray for good things, they don't happen. I pray for in Thanksgiving, and it doesn't really matter. So why am I praying? God's not real. And so, I love the opportunity to dive into these questions with these students. However, I only see them for an hour, on a Sunday. And I think it kind of calls back to our role as parents to say, hey, we're the primary catechists of these students. This is my child. I need to be having conversations with these kids. I need to be the number one person in this student's life talking about the faith. And so I'm going to encourage all of us to do that. Myself as a parent of 4, I've got 4 kids. I'm their primary catechist. I need to be the one talking about these things in their life and engaging my kids, talking to my kids about issues in their life and how they're dealing with them, especially when it comes to matters of the faith. So I encourage you guys. You got spring break this week for Elkhorn, spring break for St. Pat's. So a lot of people going on spring break. Opportunities to kind of chill out from all the usual activities and maybe have some long car rides ahead of you. It could be a fantastic time to dive into some of these more difficult questions. They're basic, but they could bring up some good conversations. So I encourage you guys to have a great time with that and challenge your students on the things that they're encountering and things that they believe.